Welcome back, everybody. My name is Marilee Burnett, and I am your astrologer here with the messages for the week of August 19th, 2024, where we kick it off in style. We have an incredible, tense, as you can see on the screen in front of you, full moon in the sign of Aquarius. I'm going to be breaking that down by sign. Lots of tense energy to go along with this full moon. So you're likely tuning in because you follow me. If not, please click on that subscribe button below, and I thank you. And also go out to my website, marileeburnett.com. That's where you can access all of my free resources, like the article for this full moon in Aquarius, the article for the month of August, and you can go out and get a preview for the article for the month of September, and the new moon and full moon lunar eclipse articles that are attached as well. Always trying to keep you looking forward. All right. So if you have been following me, then you know that I break down all of the information day by day. I use the Astro Gold software, and I tend to focus on the biggest energy events of the week. And let me tell you, this week packs a punch. So let's not waste too much time chit-chatting. If you want more detailed information, of course, go out to my website, click on my special offers. There might be something out there that's of interest to you. I'd love to work with you and help you transition through what's going to be a pretty big transformation in your life, most likely. So August 19th, Monday, is what I have pulled up on the screen in front of us. And this is at the time where we're going to be having that full moon in Aquarius. A full moon always brings things to completion. And then we look at the tension created by the sun. The sun shines a light on the moon, and that obviously makes it full. So we need to understand where the sun is shining a light and where the moon is. Now, the sun has just recently completed what we call Mercury cazimi while Mercury was retrograde. So already this weekend prior, which is when I'll have this posted, so we'll see if it's true, there may be a big aha moment. Your mind may be blown. It can be a reset, right? So anytime the sun and Mercury come together, it's a cleansing of Mercury. It's a reset of Mercury's energy. And then this time, the retrograde is going to see Mercury keep heading backwards, and it will be a while before it can meet up with the sun again. So this isn't something where Mercury's going to catch up quickly. In fact, the sun will head into Virgo while Mercury continues back through almost the end of August through the territory it's been covering in the sign of Leo. So while it's not cazimi, they're still very close together. And for those that don't like a light on their mind, on the subconscious mind, sometimes this feels pretty intense just as it is. Now add to that we have a full moon going on at the same time. So the full moon is, what do we want to complete? What do we want to bring to an end? What goal did we set for ourselves maybe at the early part of the year when we had the new moon in Aquarius? Are we ready to achieve those goals and those intentions? So many possibilities as you look at this. But with that moon down here in this chart in the sign of Aquarius, it's pushed against Mercury and the sun. So we have two things that are pressing on that moon, on our emotions, and making our feelings and the events really intense at this time. Then, just for fun, the ruler of the full moon is Uranus, and Uranus is also sitting at 27 degrees, which creates this T-square, which looks like this red triangle in front of you. And I always say this is a little bit like a volcano, right? You've got the two sides pushing against one another, and the escape is out, right, through the top. This is explosive energy. It forces you to move. It forces you to break free. It forces you to come up with innovative solutions. So this is one of those times where you're going to really have to look at your chart and see, where do I have this 27 degree of Leo energy? Where do I have 27 degree of Aquarius? And where do I have 27 degrees of Taurus? Because they're all getting pressure. Pressure doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? Again, it pushes us out of situations that are no longer meant for us, that are keeping us stuck and trapped. And so sometimes, probably most of the time, 90% of the time, we need it to be harsh before we'll let go and move on. So you've likely seen in this week leading up to this full moon, whatever area it is that you need to let go, that you need to break free, and have this thing, whatever it is, end so that something new can begin for you. Now, when you think about Uranus and Taurus, it's things that are financial in nature. It is the earth itself. And so sometimes the earth can literally be shaking at the time of this event because there's so much pressure on it. The financial markets can get a little rocky, or maybe they'll have just a huge explosive day, right? It is just going to depend on the chart that day for whatever stock exchange you're a part of, for instance. Where's the pressure happening? So it's not a big risk day that I recommend. You have to trust your gut, of course. So there's pressure. You've got to let this go. If it's a job, if it's debt, if it's money, if it's love, right? All things Taurus have to do with the planet Venus. And Venus is also, just for fun, a part of another T-square. So this day is not subtle. Now, does that mean it's bad? No, not necessarily, but it does mean change. And some people don't like change. So you have Venus in Virgo, which keeps Venus more controlled, right? Love, money, much more responsibility. So Venus doesn't love being in Virgo. It's boring to a planet that's all about the Taurus things, the senses, the experiences, the overindulgences. Virgo's not about that. Virgo likes to keep all those things nice and neat and orderly and under control. So then you have Venus being pressured by Saturn in Pisces, telling Venus once again, you have to have good boundaries. You have to have structure to your finances, to your health, to your work. And again, this depends on where you have this energy in your chart. So Saturn's in charge. Venus may be trying to stand up for herself, and you might be as well. But this mentor, this older person, this expert, they're the one with the plan, and you're going to have to listen to them. Of interest, and this is going on again all this week, is Jupiter, another big teacher, is at the top of this T-square. So it is expressing yourself, speaking up, speaking out, speaking strongly with authority, with the knowledge that you need to share with other people, that helps bring this tension between this woman and this older gentleman to an outcome that is easy for each of them to mediate, basically, to meet in the middle. There has to be a good, healthy dialogue. So whatever the topic is, the exit point is Jupiter in Gemini, and Jupiter in the week leading up to this has been in a conjunction with Mars, and Mars moves things quickly and fast, right? It can be an attack of words. It just makes our mind go so fast. It can bring, things in the air that are explosive, like fireworks. But with this tension between the feminine and this old school energy, Venus versus Saturn, this wise leader and teacher is who is trying to help smooth everything out, to mediate what this conflict is about. So they'll have to speak up louder than these two in order to make it happen. So again, whatever is ending, there's so much going on around it that it might be hard to even understand what just happened. Now, again, does it have to be bad things? No. Sometimes we reach a goal. If we think about Monday, it's the beginning of the Democratic National Convention, right? So you're seeing the first opportunity for everyone to really look at Kamala Harris and Tim Walz as the Democratic Party and to officially celebrate that, right? So that's an end goal for her. Aquarius, we the people. Aquarius is women in leadership. So it is about changing times, but the road to get here, right, was very challenging for the party overall. Lots of infighting. But somebody, a wise teacher, rose above it all and made it happen. So we are living in such interesting times right now, astrologically, and it just shows up every single day. What you'll see on the other side of the party is that Donald Trump is under a tremendous amount of pressure during this full moon. So this is where his Mars sits. He's going to want to explode, literally. So this is, again, it's just fascinating to watch, no matter what side you're on, what's moving and shaking and how it's impacting the collective, and then understanding how it's impacting you as an individual as well, because of course it impacts both. None of us are immune from the energy. So this is the time in your life that you want to work with the pressure and show up and make the changes. That is the easiest way to navigate this type of energy, is show up, work with it, and when you're being like physically directed to go do something else, go. This is not the time to stay stuck and keep doing the same crap you've been doing for years now. It's time to move on. So, where is this going to show up for you? I'm going to run this down for you really quickly by sign. Before I do that, I will just briefly call out a little bit of help that we have. So, always the blue lines are the energy that is supporting us. Not exact, but obviously still impactful, is the fact that we have Chiron retrograde in Aries. And it is making a trine, which is very helpful energy, back to the Sun and Mercury in Leo. Both in fire signs, this is what motivates you to heal, right? This is where you can tune into your leadership skills, right? This Leo energy. You can remember what it was like to have fun, what it was like to have love. I mean, there's love that can be healing for you. Amongst all this chaos, maybe it reunites you with a love from the past where there was a painful experience and now it's time to heal. So that's one way that you can look at this. Chiron in Aries spends a long time. We're talking 5 to 7 years a lot of times for Chiron to go through each sign. And so if you have anything around 23 to 28, 29 degrees in any of the signs, you're going to notice this more. And Chiron in Aries wants you to choose you. So does the North Node in Aries. Choose yourself. What's your priority? Put yourself first. We've been working on this for the past almost year and a half now, where choose you. Save yourself first before you try to save anybody else. That's what we're working on right now. The other energy, and this is energy that's going to be with us for some time. Uranus, now at 27 degrees, is speaking in harmony with Neptune at 29 retrograde and Pluto at 0. And as of September 1st, it will also be at 29 and retrograde. So you have these three outer planets, which were very much involved in what happens to us as a society, right? And so it's like this secret society where these people are coming together to help create change on a big level. But we feel it more on an internal level, what this is: Pluto, death, rebirth, transformation. In Aquarius, it's finding your power by being of service, by being a part of something bigger than yourself, uniting with other people. And then Neptune is almost done with its time in its home sign of Pisces. Next year, it will move into Aries and is going to feel very, very different emotionally and creatively. But now it's here. These 29 degrees are critical degrees. And I always say this is the test, right? You're being tested. And Neptune will slowly move off of this slightly. It moves very slowly. And so that will meet up with Uranus as it stations to go retrograde at the end of August. And then Pluto goes back to 29 degrees. And so they're within a couple of degrees of each other for a long time. So it's important to start paying attention to what are these outer influences that are going on. They're starting to cause societal shifts. And what have you been noticing? What's been showing up? Where have big changes been happening? So that's beneath the surface, supporting this effort of transformation and change and breaking out and breaking free. So there is support there, but we really have to go within to feel it and understand it. All right. So you want a little bit more of a breakdown, some more advice for each of the signs, go check out that written article that I have out on my website. But now let me just really quickly run down where this is happening. Now, I'm not going to talk about where all the T-squares are forming because it will take too long. But I will talk about the end result and what you're hoping to accomplish based on your sun, moon, and most importantly, what we see on the day-to-day is typically your rising sign, unless you're really letting your ego lead your life. And sometimes you have both that are in the same sign. But let's assume you have one of everything and you want to make sure that you listen to all three. So let's jump in and do that now. Aries. You've been doing a lot of work, Aries, right? You've got Chiron and the North Node in there. What happens when you have a full moon in your 11th house is something comes to completion that involves your friends, your networking groups, could be some kind of a benefactor. And either something ends, right? A friendship, a relationship, or something that you've all been working on together is about to come to an end, but getting it across the finish line could be really intense. So be aware if things feel unstable and shaky in your friend groups, don't overreact. They're under just as much tension as you are. Take a step back, right? Look at the situation again. This is Sun and Mercury, which is showing us something about the past that has everything to do with this ending. And then be ready for the surprise. That's all I can say. Okay. Taurus. For you, Taurus, Earth sign, likes things stable and steady and has had to deal with Uranus going through your sign for what feels like forever. Now, you got a little bit more time to go, but it's almost done. So this is happening for you in your 10th house, which is your career. It's your reputation. It's your what people see you as, right? This is where you're rising. It's your highest point in the chart. And so there can be major endings as far as your career goes. Does that mean you get the job? Do you leave a job? Are you surprised by an offer of a job? Any of the above. But be prepared for there to be some major conclusion where your career is concerned. But don't stress out about it, because whatever ends now is opening up a new door of opportunity for you. All right. Next we have Gemini. So Geminis, for you, this is going to happen in your 9th house. Now the 9th house is about growth and expansion. You're the 3rd house, right, where things are small in your community and you have great control over everything. And then you get into the 9th house and it's foreign people and it's foreign places and it's higher education and spiritual advisors. So if you've been working on some kind of an education, this would be the time to bring it to an end. If you've had a goal to achieve that is bringing great growth opportunity, how it's achieved is under a lot of pressure, but don't lose sight of the end goal, right? It's still coming to fruition for you. It's just the path to get there is feeling pretty intense, but keep the faith. The 9th house is always about keeping the faith and letting this all come out and come together the way it's meant to. Cancers. This is in your 8th house, Cancer, and the 8th house is all about transformation and rebirth and power, and it's money that comes to you from other people. So when I did the tarot cards, you were a sign that actually had the Ace of Pentacles. So if you want to know more about the tarot cards, go and watch the rest of that. But that's a new opportunity involving money that's coming your way as a result of something that comes to an end. Maybe you've been caught up in a whole lot of chaos, and now it's finally coming to an end for you, and that's a good thing. Like I said, it's really going to be important to know what personal planets and their impact is during this time, because it's going to tell us more of the story and where and how this shows up for you. But for you, Cancer's 8th house, and there could be money that comes to you from other resources that could surprise you in some way. Okay, next we have Leo. So Leo, you of course have the Sun and Mercury in your sign, and Mercury's retrograde in your sign. So this is about you personally, right? Going through some changes, going through a review. Are you where you expected to be? Are you shining your light as much as you should be? And what are you shining that light on? Well, it's your relationships. The moon is in your 7th house. So this is marriages and contracts and business partnerships. And something related to that is what's coming to an end, coming to fruition. So are you getting married or are you getting divorced? What is the tension between the two of you creating? Some kind of an outlet that is financial in nature, potentially. Don't fight for the sake of fighting right now. Learn how to meet in the middle, and maybe this Uranus person is going to help you resolve a conflict that you've had for a very long time, and it will shock and surprise you, but you will be glad it's over. Next, we have Virgo. So Virgos, this happens in your 6th house of work and health, day-to-day activities. And the moon in your 6th house can bring something, again, to fullness and completion that benefits you in some way. That could be over the internet. It could be a job where you are of service to other people. You could be a healer. You could be achieving a goal as far as your healing work goes. But there's something about what you see in your day-to-day life and what is hidden from you in this 12th house, which is your Leo energy, right? So this is the subconscious mind. This is also spiritual work. So let's say you have a healing business, but it's missing the spiritual context. Well, you may have somebody who comes in and says, hey, I have a better business model for you. I have a job offer for you, right? This Uranus energy helps you break free from the standstill between the 6th house of what I see and the 12th house of what is hidden from me. And then Uranus makes it all available. And from that point, I can decide what I want to do or change about my day-to-day life. All right, Libras. This happens for you in your 5th house of romance. So this feels good to you, right? This is what you want. You're looking for this relationship. But is it a relationship that needs to end because this is a full moon in completion and under tension? Or is this you getting out of your own way and opening your heart to romance? You like to be a people pleaser. Is there something about that that has to come to an end at this time? Your friends might be the ones that are trying to get you to let this go. It can cause some conflict, but listen instead of fight against it, because the big changes are coming and you'll be happy you did the work. Scorpio, this is your home and family sector. So it could literally be something about the home you live in. There could be something simple like a home remodel, a home redecorating. But this is also your personal 4th house of foundation, right? So are you feeling supported? And if not, the weak foundation that you've got for yourself now is going to be blown away, and then you're going to rebuild it stronger. So be careful around the house. Don't climb on ladders. Don't do any of the things that are destabilizing, because that's when that little Uranus crazy energy can swoop in, and it's in your opposite sign. So relationships can be what, causes this destabilization at home. Just don't let it. All right. Maybe this person that you fall in love with madly makes you move home. So many possibilities. Okay. Sagittarius. This is happening in your 3rd house. And the 3rd house is all about communication and the community. If you were in some kind of a program or studying, you would be ready to finish that off, maybe a certificate of some kind. What's pressing against you will be the moon pushing back, right, from your local community against the sun and Mercury in the 9th house, which is where you like to be. Sagittarius is a ruler of the 9th house. And that's all about higher education and spirituality and where am I going? So there is this need to grow, but at the same time, there's a need to pay attention to what's right in front of you. And so how do you balance those two things against one another? Uranus is going to surprise you and show you the way. Capricorn. This is your 2nd house of the money you make. So something can come to an end like a job, or something can come to an end like a job hunt, right? So it just depends on where you're at. But that's, again, something that concludes, that can help you as far as your money-making endeavors go. You just have to potentially look at how other people are currently supporting you financially, that maybe makes it easy for you to not have to work so hard, which is not like you. So you're definitely caught up in some situation that you need to get out of, and Uranus is going to show you the way out at this time. All right. Then we have, of course, Aquarius, and this is happening in your 1st house. Now, these later events that we have, like this 27-degree full moon, can often be in the next house, because I work with Placidus. Some people work with whole house. I believe in Placidus. That's all I can say. It works for me. So you might look and think about the conversation that we're having here and look at the next house, because sometimes that's the house where this might be happening. If you don't know your chart, go get one made. But for you, Aquarius, it's something personal that's coming to an end, a personal goal that you have for yourself and how you want to present yourself to others. And the pressure for you to do this comes from your marriage partner, your business partner. They are shining a light and showing you the information that you need to complete this goal. And maybe, as usual, you want to be doing it on your own, and you don't want the drama from your other partner. You don't want them bossing you around telling you what to do, but they're well guided at this time in helping you. So you just have to learn how to be open to accepting the advice and the information. And again, Uranus is going to show you the way through that conflict between the two of you. All right. Last but not least, we have Pisces. And for you, Pisces, this is going to happen in your 12th house. The 12th house, again, rules the subconscious mind. It rules our spiritual journey. It can help us put an end to subconscious blocks that keep us from finding our tribe, from fitting in, right? Aquarius, that we the people energy and being connected. And it may just be that the busyness of your day-to-day life, where the sun and Mercury have you working really hard, are not giving you enough time to focus in on your spiritual goals. So there's something about that that's going to push you at this time, and you're going to be surprised at how you figure out the way to balance the two. Okay. Put a pin in it. Of course, I will put a timestamp out there for this section so you can come back and take a look at each of the signs, and definitely go look at your chart. All right. We are going to move on to the other energy this week that is going to really stand out. And while it kicks off at the time of the full moon, it's going to continue. And that is this square between Saturn and Jupiter. So here you have two teachers, right? Both want you to listen to them and take their advice and do something with it. Now, I always joke around and say Saturn is that old Catholic nun who will take the ruler and smack you on the back of the hand when you don't listen to her. Jupiter doesn't like it when you don't listen to them either, but they take the pillow and smack you upside the head, and so it's a little gentler. But even though Jupiter is a benefic planet, if you are ignoring Jupiter's advice, the energy will make it very clear and evident that you're acting like an idiot. That's the best way I could describe it. You're still going to learn the lesson. The lesson may not be quite as harsh as the way Saturn will make sure you learn it, but you still have to learn the lesson. So are you, right? There's a reason why Jupiter spends a year in each sign, and there's a reason why Saturn takes 2.5 years. Because lessons take time, especially big life lessons. These are big, important planets, and their energy is important for us to understand how to work with it. And so Saturn in Pisces is bringing structure to water, right? To our emotions. It's helping us create boundaries, and extremely strong boundaries. And right now it's in retrograde. So we have boundaries in place that are weak, and we're going back now to review them. And then Jupiter having this conversation where they're butting heads, right? It's not a head on, right? But it's a crossroads where these two planets come together and are at a standstill and have to figure out, how are we navigating the corner, right? Are you going around the corner, or am I going around the corner? Because we can't go at the same time. We have to make a change. So there's a change that's necessary. And it's a pretty big change. And it takes all week long to navigate it. So wherever you have Jupiter in Gemini, Jupiter is expanding on the facts, expanding on the details. It's blowing up the news. It's blowing up information for a reason, not just to get likes and follows, right? No, there's something that you're supposed to be learning about how you communicate with one another, how you think. Do you think for yourself, or do you have mob mentality, right? There's so many layers here. And Jupiter's not strong in Gemini. Jupiter lives in Sagittarius, the land of the big and the free, right? It feels a little closed in and trapped and stuck when it's in Gemini, because it has to see all the little details instead of focusing on the big picture. But that's not a bad thing, right? We need both of those skill sets. We need to see the big picture, but we also need to pay attention to the details. And that's what we're figuring out while we have Jupiter in Gemini. And the last time you had it was 2012. So what were you working on? The last time you had Saturn in Pisces was from 1994 to 1996. So we're in like the 95 range now. What were you working on? Because those lessons that you needed to learn, they're showing up now in a big way, and there's a confrontation. Now, as a collective, there's a confrontation between two big personalities, two big teachers, two people who want to be in charge. And how they want to lead is in conflict with one another. So there's a big discussion. And it's about every 10 years when we have a Jupiter-Saturn square. So you can look back to 2014 too. What were you working on then? What were the lessons? What did you need to change? Did you? Now you might get another chance. The last time these two were together side by side was 2020. And we know all the restrictions that were going on back then, how we weren't able to get about and move freely. So we don't want to go back there. We don't want to feel that restriction again. And that may be where some of this conflict shows up for us. So that is what we see on Tuesday. As we move ahead to Wednesday, you'll notice that there's another player in this conversation, and that player is Venus, which has already been having the tense conversation with Saturn. Now she's also squaring to Jupiter. But when the two benefic planets, Jupiter and Venus, have this difficult conversation, it tends to lead to more of like overindulgences versus necessarily a bad thing. But, sitting down and eating an entire cheesecake is a bad thing, although it feels really good in the moment. So you just have to be cautious of that. But this says that this conflict between these two superiors adds a feminine touch, a feminine person into the battle. And the exit point, again, is the knowledge that you need to gain, right? It's probably changing your mind in a big way about something important, and a lesson is learned as a result. So if you've been too fixed in your mindset, your mind is about to get blown. And we'll see that happen on Wednesday. I'm going to move this forward a little bit more so you can see it easier. All right. So on Wednesday, the other thing that is happening is we have this yod point, which keeps getting reactivated. Now, it's been showing up ever since Venus, speaking of Venus, has been moving from the new moon in Leo. So we had the new moon in Leo, and at that time, Venus was sitting at 29 degrees of Leo. The new moon was much earlier on. But as it sat there, it was speaking with Pluto and Neptune. Now it's the sun's turn. And I'm not even mentioning the fact that Mercury's already been here a couple of times, right? So this point just keeps getting reactivated. And as it does, it creates a yod. And a yod is a mission. This is something important that you need to do and accomplish. It's a test, right? It's a test of your leadership. It's a test of your passion. It's a test of your success, right? And so I mentioned Donald Trump earlier because his Mars sits at 26 of Leo. The man is under a lot of pressure from a lot of different places and energies. So it's no surprise that he's tweaking quite a bit because there's all of this weird energy that is a direct hit on him. So again, not picking any sides. I'm just saying it's fascinating to watch. And so any of you too that have any planets at this, especially the 29 degree, you're feeling it. But you can't quite put a finger on what it is because of the fact that the formation of a yod happens from two planets that are sextile to one another, which are Pluto and Neptune, and then they're both in conjunct the other planet, and that's the sun. And so the sun's shining a light on what we love, right, in Leo, what we're passionate about, what our leadership looks like. But something about our goals in these areas are being helped beneath the surface. There's something hidden. And if you're not seeing the success that you want to see, it could be because you're not listening. And here we'll actually have the moon jumping in and helping on Wednesday as well. So this yod activation on the 21st, it's going to be a big deal. We're going to want to pay attention to it because I can't talk. The sun shining a light on the mission makes it bigger and brings it out more. And then you're going to see in September it get activated one last time by Mercury when it ends its retrograde. So what's been showing up for you? You've been seeing something repeatedly, especially, like I said, if you have something at 29 degrees, that's calling to you, right? These guys are beneath the surface, Pluto and Neptune, underneath, hidden, some feeling deep within you. Pluto psychologically, right? Neptune maybe spiritually, maybe creatively, but something's trying to come to the surface, trying to get your attention and trying to help you finish the work that you have in the house where you have 29 degrees of Leo. So what is that for you? This activation will be important to note. All right. Let's look at the energy on Thursday. So now that sun finished its test, right? Every month the sun moves into the new sign, and now it is moving into the sign of Virgo. And as it does, it's still having that strong, awkward conversation with Pluto. This can see, two leaders that work together unexpectedly, for instance, is one way. This is a group of people that help somebody succeed. And that somebody, right, with these Virgo tendencies, right? I don't know, we could be talking about somebody in the health and fitness field. This could be a woman who's a healer, that something about her gifts is coming up. All kinds of interesting ways that you can suddenly feel success that supports you from some really odd and unexpected place. 0 is the energy of new beginnings, right? A total reset. So there's something important on this day, a rebirth happening from an unexpected place. And of course, they're still speaking in harmony with Neptune. It's just the test is changed to ending something to now starting something important. The other energy that we'll see, again, back to talking about Venus, as Venus will be squaring with Mars. Now, Venus and Mars are the lovers of the zodiac, right? So whenever they square, they're having a lover's spat. So there, again, could be relationship that is in the news where there's big arguing going on. It can just be in general feminine energy versus the masculine energy. So there is something about this day with especially Venus in Virgo and Mars in Gemini, while Mercury is retrograde and Mercury rules both of them. Conversation is going to be really important on this day, especially the conflicting type. So we'll see what this big argument ends up being about. And speaking of Mercury at the time of this, it's starting to march back and have a supportive conversation with Mars. And it is already having a supportive conversation with Chiron. So words can be healing. Information about a painful wound can come to the surface that helps you heal at this time. So that we see on Thursday. So yes, there's conflict. Yes, there's some weirdness. And at the same time, there's the potential for some healing to happen as well. All right. Let us move ahead to Friday, which will be the 23rd. And as I mentioned, we're seeing now Mercury having its positive conversation with Mars, and then both are still speaking positively with Chiron. And as they speak positively with Chiron, this healer, this teacher, this coach, there's also this weird conversation with Venus. So there's definitely something weird and strange going on in the feminine, in women and men conflicts, right? That this day is going to highlight for us. But again, the way through it is to have open and honest dialogue. That is the point of this. And to choose what's best for you, because it's still Chiron in Aries, which is healing the self, healing our self-identity wound. So why you choose yourself could be what surprises you. Maybe this is a friend that points something out to you, which makes you suddenly believe in yourself again. So that is some interesting energy going on Thursday. It will continue that conversation with Mars and Chiron. So Mars would be you using the information that you've learned to help heal yourself. That is what these three things coming together is all about. Taking the information, working with an expert, and that information that they share with me is what I can use to help heal myself. So that's a nice positive way to wrap that up. And the energy really just continues as we move on into Sunday. You're going to start to see Venus and women in general are going to be the whole story for the last week of the month. So as I was looking ahead at August and this final week, it's all about Venus. And Venus is going to be trining to Uranus. Then she's going to be opposite Neptune. Then she's going to move into her home sign of Libra, and relationships are going to become top of mind again. And she'll be trining Pluto from Libra. So powerful relationships, especially for women in power, are going to take center stage next week. So we'll break that all down, of course, next week. I know this has been a lot. And again, go with the energy. Don't fight against it. Tune into your intuition and come work with me, because I can help you break it down more specifically and help you see what you need to let go of and what you need to change, and be prepared for where you're going to feel the pressure. So hope to see you next week. Again, like, comment, subscribe, ask me questions. I love answering your comments. So don't be shy. And please share my work. This is a big week. So if you know people out there who are struggling, sometimes just knowing it's not just you and there's actually something going on in the world that's impacting you can make you feel more sane. So feel free to share the information I have for you today. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I look forward to hearing all your stories, hearing your successes, and checking in with you next week. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk soon. Be sure and check out your weekly tarot card messages as well. Those, along with this astro lesson, are going to give you the big picture. Thanks again for tuning in. Talk to you next week.